About a year or so ago, I was asked this question. What movies make you stay around for the duration of the end credits? And it got me thinking. Will I exit out of the screen or get up and leave once I start rolling? Yes, but most of the time. I mean, I gotta write my quirky one-liner letterbox reviews as soon as possible, am I right? But I do understand the significance of them. They're not just names on a black screen, they're hundreds of people who put hundreds of hours of blood, sweat, and tears into these films. Of course they deserve recognition for it. And while yes, names on a black screen can be boring to look at, I love when movies decide to mix it up and give us a really memorable song and or track from the score, or go above and beyond by continuing the story. So today that's what I'm doing, giving credits to my favorite credits, particularly how the music they're accompanied with fits thematically with their respective films. I think now is an appropriate time to say that the credits are some of my favorite parts about these movies and not get any weird looks from people. Right? And seeing how I'm going to be talking about the end of these movies, I will likely be talking about their endings, so here's your spoiler warning for all of you. Let's begin, shall we? We can't not talk about end credits without mentioning one of, if not the most iconic song to come from a movie. My Heart Will Go On. You can't have one without the other. Some hate it and dismiss it as a cheesy love ballad, and even if it is, so what might be most interesting about the song is that James Cameron himself was against it. The higher-ups were advocating for it, but he didn't want a pop ballad to top off his 3-hour-long historical epic. James Horner, the composer, however, did. So like all professional co-workers, Horner went behind Cameron's back, wrote lyrics to go with his motif heard throughout the film. And recorded a demo of My Heart Will Go On with Celine Dion. However, Cameron is known to be, how do I put this lightly, difficult to work with, so Horner waited until Cameron was having one of his good days to present the song to him. And yeah, Cameron liked it, and the rest is history. And another fun tidbit is that demo is what you hear when you're sobbing over the fact that Jack and Rose reunited after 84 years like I do. So yeah, fun times. With the lyric, "Every night in my dreams, I see you, I feel you," people use that as evidence that the final scene of the film is a dream of hers, but I'm in the camp that she's in the afterlife, especially since you see her as an old lady, warm in her bed, and the people surrounding them are crew members and passengers who died on that night, like Thomas Andrews, Fabrizio, Captain Smith, the string quartet, and sweet baby Cora. I believe the song encapsulates her feelings toward Jack leading up to them reuniting. Anyway, it's an iconic song for a reason that I hold dear to my own heart. This movie is the reason why I have a penny whistle, for crying out loud. However, after the song ends, we do hear a bit more of James Horner's sensational score with a snippet of the triumphant "Take Her to Sea, Mr. Murdoch" from when we see the Titanic sailing in all her glory and the foreboding "Hymn to the Sea." Somewhat of a suite of the movie's theme is My Heart Will Go On that brings it all together. Again, it's a great song to sing along to while I'm crying and collecting the shards of my broken heart. I can go on about this movie, y'all know I can. So I'll just end it here by saying that if you think My Heart Will Go On is cheesy and stupid, shut up. You're cheesy and stupid. Another end credit sequence that makes me sob uncontrollably after watching one of my favorite romance movies. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, music is a huge reason why I stick around for the credits. We start off with a bang with a jazzier instrumental version of Another Day of Sun. Even though the movie doesn't give us what we want, that is, of course, Mia and Sebastian ending up together, the morning still rolls around. Without Seb, Mia wouldn't have a successful acting career with a husband and child, and without Mia, Seb wouldn't have his successful jazz club aptly named Selves. And without its bittersweet ending, La La Land wouldn't resonate with so many people like myself. But we can still go on with our lives and sing along to the soundtrack in the car, witness the movie with a live orchestra, or learn Mia and Sebastian's theme on the piano. That's what the movie is all about. No matter how much heartbreak or rejection you go through, whether that be in relationships or careers, Tomorrow is another day of sun, which is why I think the song is an excellent fit to play us out. However, as the credits continue to roll, the mood mellows. The next track is Emma Stone humming City of Stars. With the couple singing a duet and Seb getting his own solo version, it's only fitting that Mia gets one of her own. She scats, which is a vocal improv technique used in jazz, which reveals how much of an impact Seb had on her. She loves and appreciates the genre now because of him, and I like to think that she's humming the song after she and her husband come back from the club. Sorry, I had to. After she and her husband come back from the club and she's getting ready for bed. Her life is forever changed because of him, and she'll always cherish the moments she had with him. Last but certainly not least is the Celesta version of Me and Sebastian's theme. That's the one that sounds like a music box, but it's actually more of a bell-sounding piano. I listen to this rendition constantly. It's so beautifully delicate and amazingly captures that sense of longing. It's so dreamlike, and I imagine that as the years go by, me and Seb's time together begins feeling like one because of how brief it was. Yet at the same time, they remember it so vividly because of how happy they were during that point in their lives. I think I need to lighten the mood. And I know just the movie. I guess it goes without saying that there is a very strong incentive to sit through the credits for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Even though Principal Rooney was defeated by having his car towed and not being able to catch Ferris, we continue to see him being made a fool out of. And because it's Jeffrey Jones, he deserves it especially so. And we continue to hear the banger Oh Yeah by Mello. Boom, boom. This scene is such a perfect cap-off to such a fantastic movie. Rooney ever so slowly climbs aboard the bus and ever so slowly takes his seat while the students gawk at him. It's like the last of his dignity is being wrung out of him. It's glorious. Like I mentioned earlier, I love when movies continue the narrative during the credits since it's a nice way to spice up what most people tend to ignore. And by doing so, it gifts us with this absolutely iconic post-credit scene.
You're still here? It's over.
It's so simple on paper, but it flies and soars in execution. Ferris stares at us like idiots for having stayed until the end, even though there was a very valid reason to do so. It's just one more joke to leave us with a big ol' smile on our faces. And the fact that he's back in his bathrobe, I love it so much. I adore this movie.
However, in Ferris's case, I can assure you he is truly a very sick boy.
It's not an Olivia video until I have an excuse to yap about the Batman. As Bruce and Selina part ways, Bruce makes his way back toward Gotham to begin the long, grueling journey of truly renewing the city. Just as his engine revs up, we get a triumphant flourish from Michael Giacchino's spectacular score and then some as the credits begin rolling. It's a suite mostly compiled of tracks we heard throughout the film, titled with sensational puns like Escaped Crusader, Are You a Kenzie or a Can'tsy? Funeral and Far Between, and The Bat's True Calling. I adore this score with all my heart, and it's such a wonderful way to play us out. However, my favorite track that's featured is Sonata in Darkness, and the only way to hear it in its entirety is on the soundtrack. I last talked about it in my Best Movies of 2022 video, and my love for it has not faded. The credits are 8 minutes long, but even if you played Sonata in Darkness over, you'd have a few minutes left over because the full track is 12 minutes long. Dude, it's incredible. Michael Giacchino composed the score as if it were lost work from Beethoven, and it shines with this piece. It's a piano solo beautifully combining Batman's, Bruce's, and Catwoman's themes that is delicate and romantic one moment, and thunderous and gothic the next. This track single-handedly fueled my love for this movie and is the reason why I've been obsessing over it for 3 years now. Holy crap. It's also an inspiration for me as a pianist. I'm nowhere close to being able to perform it in all of its 12-minute glory, but listening to it on repeat motivates me to continue practicing and improving so that I one day can. And I know that once I'm able to, I'll be satisfied. I'm already making progress since I can play funeral and far between, so far so good right now. Anyway, another reason why I love these credits so much is because I have a core memory attached to them. I saw The Batman in theaters for the 5th time with my friend last year when it was re-released in Dolby for one night only to show a sneak peek of the Penguin. For the occasion, the theater I went to was selling these light-up bat signal popcorn buckets, and during the credits, people started shining them up to the screen while the names were going past, and it was so cool. Turns out someone else in the auditorium took a video, posted it on Twitter, and Matt Reeves himself saw it, which was so cool. So I shared my own POV, and yeah, it was awesome. Similar to La La Land, I love how the credits start strong, but then gradually decrease as the music allows you to reflect on the movie and how the experience of watching it washes all over you. Not to mention we get a tiny post-credit scene with Riddler typing goodbye and advertising the Ratatouille website. It was used by fans to reveal the deleted interrogation scene with the Joker, but since I'm too dumb for riddles, I never figured it out, so I just waited until the scene became public. Then it was seized by Gotham PD for a while, came back up to promote the Penguin, but now it's been seized again. The website is a cool ARG, and I can't wait to see how it's utilized when we get closer to the release of the Batman sequel. But that's enough yapping, now let's talk about one of my other favorite superhero movies.
Oh, Spotty Bell, swinging through Midtown.
Oh heck yeah, this is a fun one. We got Elevate, Way Up, Home, and my favorite, Spidey Bells.
I can sing, I can dance, I tell jokes, I act. I can be a big deal for Asian, call me back.
Chris Pine is such a gift. I love listening to the full version every Christmas. There's a number of great jokes during these credits. Spider-Pine saying he has a degree in chemical engineering, Noir showing off the Rubik's Cube, Peter B being roasted over a fire surrounded by a bunch of hungry spider hams. It's iconic. There's also a sweet dedication for Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and I overall love the kaleidoscope and spray paint aesthetic. Not to mention, it gives us an excellent sneak peek into the next movie by introducing us to Miguel and Lila, as well as giving us a scene that is one of the very few times a movie references a meme and manages to be funny.
Listen, I'm from the future.
How dare you point at me?
You were pointing first.
Rude to point.
You're being very rude.
We get a very brief glimpse into Jorma Tacón's Earth 67 Spider-Man, who also makes an appearance on the Christmas album. And hey, speaking of that next movie, compared to its predecessor, these credits aren't as crazy. It might have to do with the crunch time since there's a number of reused shots, but we still have gorgeous visuals and absolute bangers with Am I Dreaming and Calling. I never really imagined a Spider-Verse song, let alone a movie, having a string quartet, but they pair so well together, especially with those catchy lyrics. With the chorus of Am I Dreaming, I see it from Miles' perspective, especially with how lyrics like not done fighting and I feel beaten but I can't give up, since obviously he has to defeat Spot and Beyond the Spider-Verse, and this movie leaves us with him having to stare down with Miles G. We have this somewhat oil pastel art style as he whips through spots with appearances from the Spot and Miles G. It looks really cool, and we also get a good look at the logo for Beyond and it looks awesome. I love the color palette. Meanwhile with Calling, I see it from both Miles and Gwen's perspectives. I think the chorus is from Gwen's POV with lyrics like "It's my fault made you fall for me," since she's aware Miles has feelings for her, but with the canon foretelling her deadly fate, she's afraid to risk it. But he does mean a lot to her, so that's why she's begun her quest to save him. Meanwhile, the verses are from Miles with lyrics like "When I ran into you, I didn't plan on falling in love," and "Need a hero, I'm the last one left," since he's the only one who stood up against Miguel's worldview about sacrifice, and especially after being thrown into a universe where there is no Spider-Man, he feels lonelier than ever. Overall, yeah, great vibes, great songs, a great way to play us out before we get hit with the crushing reality that we still have to wait years for Beyond. I saved this one for last because, if you couldn't already tell, it's the most unconventional. It's the sound of wind blowing. So what? well, it's the appropriate ambient noise I need while I stare at the ceiling and ponder this movie in silence. A Ghost Story is a devastating film about loss, grief, and the world around us that leaves me completely and utterly empty inside. And I love it because of that. When the titular ghost C finally reads the note his wife M left for him, he vanishes as he and the world move on. Most of the time I do prefer my movie endings to end satisfyingly with a clear explanation, but that doesn't apply here. We don't know where he went or what the note said, but as long as you're experiencing the same emotions C is feeling, that's all that matters. It's a tranquil but eerie way to end the film, yet somehow at the same time it's indescribable. For a moment you also hear the faint sound of kids chattering, as if you're distantly hearing them play at a park. Maybe it's M's children that she had with her new lover and the two of them are watching them play. Maybe it's the kids who moved into C and M's house sometime after their departure. Maybe it's C watching kids play in the afterlife. I think this is starting to get too morbid, so I'll just stop here. I could go on and analyze this movie, but I think it's best to experience it for yourself. If you haven't already, because I spoiled the ending if you didn't. Oops. Anyway, those are some of my favorite end credit sequences that make me stick around for the entire duration of their respective movies' runtime. There were some I didn't get to, like I adore the ones for the first 2 Kung Fu Panda movies, so maybe if you want a part 2 I can yap about them then. Let me know what your guys' favorite end credits are, and if you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, subscribe, and join my Patreon to support me, and I will see you later. Okay, bye!